guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you guys some fast-paced, easy book recommendations to get you back into reading and love reading again. I have always loved to read since I was in elementary school, but it kind of tampered down when I got into like middle school and high school, and recently this summer I got back into reading, and what really made me love books again was thrillers. And I feel like thrillers are a really good way to be invested in a story, and it's just, I feel like all thrillers have that like fast-paced aspect, and like you want to know what's gonna happen, so like it forces you to keep reading the book. I feel like if you like fast-paced action movies, stuff like that, I feel like you'll like this next thriller series I'm about to recommend. So the first, well, it's actually a series, but the first book I would recommend if you want to get back into reading is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden, and it's actually a trilogy, and it's also becoming a movie, I think this year or something. But basically this follows Millie, who she's trying to find a job, and she ends up working for this really wealthy family, and she like cooks and cleans for them. She's a housemaid for them, and she starts to like see some of the strange things about this family. Like the mom, well, the wife is kind of like, she seems kind of bipolar and stuff. Like she's nice to Millie for one instance, but then the next she's like yelling at her, and it's just a really like weird work environment. And then the kid is like spoiled, and the husband, I feel like Millie thinks he's like the only normal one, so she starts to get to know him better, and that's when the danger really starts. The Housemaid is a really popular thriller, and Freida McFadden is known to be one of the best like thriller slash horror writers. I've only read her Housemaid series, but her writing is really fast paced and it's easy to get through. They're not long books, and yeah, it'll make you want to just finish the whole series, and you'll have 3 books done by then. Sorry for the lighting change. It's kind of getting dark outside, so anyway, the next book I'm recommending for you guys is the Heartstopper series slash universe. This is also a show, and this is actually a graphic novel, and I feel like people mostly think graphic novels are like for middle schoolers or like little kids, and most of them I feel like are, but these ones are actually young adult, and it follows Nick and Charlie, and Charlie is kind of getting out of a toxic relationship, and he's also openly gay in this all boys preparatory school. But Nick is he's like a rugby player, and he's not really, I guess, the stereotype for like a queer person, I guess. And they have a class together, and they start to develop a friendship and get to know each other better, and it's a really cute story. And I think there's 4 books. I'm on the 3rd one right now. I read the first 2, and the show actually follows the first season follows the first book, and then the second season follows the second book, and so on. So yeah, that's a really good book series if you want less words and like you're more of a visual learner. The Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman is really good. If you want like lighthearted contemporary romance books that are not too long, I would recommend Ashley Poston. She's the author of The 7-Year Slip and The Dead Romantics, and I think she also just came out with a novel love story, but I haven't read that one yet. I've read The Dead Romantics, and I feel like that one is more good for like spooky season, but basically you can read it any time of the year. It also has, I feel like all of her books have like magical elements. Like The Dead Romantics involves like a ghost, and The 7-Year Slip is like a magical apartment. Her books are very like whimsical, but also deal with real life issues, and they're kind of like coming of age stories for the characters, but also just like really cute and like lighthearted. If you want to get into fantasy, which is one of my favorite genres, and you don't know where to start, I would say obviously start with the ACOTAR series, which is probably like one of the most like talked about like famous series, fantasy series like ever. So start with A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and it's one, three, I think there's 4 books, but then the 5th one follows Nesta, the main character's sister, and I haven't read that one yet. But basically, the 4 main books are about Feyre, and she is a human in this like poor village, and she has to go and like hunt for food for her family. And one day she like ends up killing this like Fey creature, and she has to be brought into the Feyland. And basically, I don't want to give too much spoilers, but she has to figure out how to get out, and she's kind of exploring the Fae world and like what it's about, because the Fae and the humans don't really interact and they don't like each other, and it's also very dangerous for a human to enter the Fae realm. But basically, yeah, the second book takes a very different turn, and just go in like blind, don't look at any like spoilers and stuff. It's a really good series to start off with. I would also recommend Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. And this follows a witch and a witch hunter. So it's a really interesting dynamic, and this is like in, I think, the 1800s or something. It's a bit in the olden times. But basically she what's her name? It's like Rune or something. I don't know. But the main girl character, she's the witch, and people don't know she's a witch. So she basically just acts as a socialite in like high society, to kind of cover up herself. And by night she's like this witch what's it called, she helps witches from being persecuted, because right now witches are just not allowed to be like in this town. So basically the witch hunter, he's like the head of like the army to like kill all the witches and stuff. And yeah, it's a really fast-paced, dynamic book. And it's a good fantasy if you don't want anything too like confusing and too much like world building. Like this one is very like simple. If you like reality TV shows and like drama, I would recommend Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. And this is basically like rich people drama. It's like London socialites. It's basically, people describe it as Gossip Girl, but in London. And it follows Magnolia. She's she's a rich girl, and she kind of is very self-absorbed, and I don't know, she's not very smart, but like she is like kind of street smart. And basically her ex-boyfriend cheated on her. They've been like best friends since like their childhood. But it's just hard because Magnolia like works in fashion, and like she's this like high, she's like an editor or something, and BJ's just like, he's a social media model or something. But anyway, it just follows the whole like friend group, like the rich socialites of London, and how they navigate like each other's friendships and relationships. Another one that I recently read that has a lot of drama is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. And this is actually about ice dancing, which I didn't know was different than figure skating, but I guess it is. And this takes place in the 90s when figure skating was really big. It was like the Winter Olympics or something. And this couple, Heath and Catherine, Catherine Stark, they are a duo. They're like a couple, figure skating couple. And Kat really wants to go to the Olympics. She's really good, but Heath is kind of slowing her down. He's only doing it because he wants to like help her get to the Olympics, and she doesn't really have any other partners. And you follow them from 16 to like 40, and their journey of going to like different ice dancing competitions and like rivalries. There's also this different couple who is actually the son and daughter of Kat's idol. Like, she was a big figure skater back in the day, and she kind of gets jealous of how much attention they're getting, and it's just very messy. Like, I feel like all the characters have like just unlikable qualities, but I feel like that's what makes it like very unique and relatable. Lastly, if you want some easy like feel-good books, I would recommend Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. And this is about Bo and Winnie, I think, ends up getting pregnant, but they're not like in a relationship. And it's really cute because like kind of have to figure out how they're gonna like support this child, and like they also want to get to know each other better too, as like even though they're friends, like they don't really know that much about each other, but it's just a really cute like feel good book. And then also I would recommend The Storied Life of AJ Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. And this follows a like grumpy bookseller who ends up having to take care of this baby who shows up at his doorstep. He ends up raising her as his daughter. It's kind of like making him find his love of books again, because he's been in a state of grief since his wife passed away. So he's kind of like when he shows Maya, his daughter, like different books to read, he's realizing his love for books again.